Hey, everybody, welcome to Mindful of Madness. I am your host, Andrew Ingram, and every week I talk with a different artist about the things they make and why they make them. This week on the show, I've got a good friend of mine, Alyssa Townsend. Alyssa is a really funny comedian. She is a uh, YouTube personality, or at least she's trying to be. We get into that in the episode. She makes all sorts of fun sketches and stuff with her little comedy troupe Clam Corp. They're great. I have a Clam Corp sticker on the laptop I'm recording this on. You should check Clam Corp out. Check out their YouTube channel. I think they got a Facebook page. Check out Alyssa on Facebook and Instagram and all that goodness. Yeah, as for this, where you can find me, you find me on Facebook, I guess, if you want. Find me on Twitter at Drew Joker Ingram. Find me on Instagram at Andrew Ingram 88. You can find my album "This Was a Bad Idea" on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and just anywhere. Tidal, anywhere you stream music. You can find this well, if you're listening to this podcast, listen wherever you're listening. Wherever you're listening. I want you to hit that follow button. I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that like button. Whatever the metric is, or the system in place where you're listening that will help me grow my audience. I really would appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, commented, gave it 5 stars, gave left a little review saying nice things or saying mean things. I don't really care. Just help me improve that SEO so I can make money and one day leave the daily grind of gig work and commission work so I can be a happy little artist boy. That would be fantastic. All right. That's enough gabbing from me. We're just going to get straight into this episode with Alyssa Townsend. Enjoy, guys.
Okay, and we're recording.
We're live.
We're live. This week on the show, I've got a good buddy of mine, very funny comedian and video YouTube star, Alyssa Townsend. Everybody, what's up, Alyssa?
Woo! What's up, Andrew? I
Oh.
really like being referred to as an internet superstar with my 3 followers on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I've
The main
got.
people,
I've got about the same, but the only
right?
thing I really put up there is this. So
I know. The main people who watch my videos are my freaking employees, and they like to give me shit about it. But I like knowing that I'm relevant. Like, it's cool for them to be like, I saw your YouTube channel. They're always asking, like, are you going to drop any new videos? You got any new videos?
Yeah, my boss found my album and listened to it at work with the volume on, so the whole office could hear it. It was a slow day.
Did
And
they
I was
give
like,
you a standing applause? I feel
no,
like
no, he was like, yeah, half of that was good. I was like, oh, well, fuck you.
Comedy is so crazy, man. I had such a crazy weekend with it. I got to go and do a guest spot at 3E's, and it was my first time performing in front of like a crowd like that in a very long time, Andrew. And it just really felt like a drug, like more than it's felt in a while, which was so crazy. Like, I had been out practicing. I'd been to a couple mics and did like a couple small shows, like, since everything started.
Mhm.
But oh, dude, I was like feeling it this weekend, like hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think it hits everybody a little different, but like that it's such a rough high for me. It's like I've never done like meth or cocaine or anything like that, but it's like a jagged
It's
upper
so
kind of high.
rocky.
Yeah.
Jagged is such a good way to describe it because it's a lot of ups and downs and like I had got there and I kind of like asked for like a guest spot and he was like, let me talk to the comics and see like if that's cool. And I was like, all right. So I'm like sitting at the bar. I'm actually feeling really hot, like I was really proud of myself for like having the courage to ask because I don't always like even do. But it was an all female show and I was just like, I need to like get out there and do something. So and I was all excited. And then he came over like maybe like 20 minutes later and he said that yes. And then my feeling totally changed. I was like excited, obviously, but like dread, like just dread. And it became so much heavier than it was, like etherealizing it at the bar, like, oh, he might come over here and I can get a guest spot and like, whatever. And then like, oh my God.
Oh, wait, now I have to do it.
Yeah, so like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then like, it was, oh yeah. And then 5 minutes is such like an adrenaline shot to the brain. Like 5 minutes, it's like nothing. It's nothing. So you just get very, oh my God, dude. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, I was talking with Wade about this earlier. I just want 20 goddamn minutes. I just want 20 minutes to do just to work. I feel like it would work out so many of the kinks for me. I don't need a good audience. I just want to be able to perform. I haven't done more than 5 to 10 minutes in the past year. And it fucking hurts. It's so
and the
weird.
time is the impressive part of comedy. The fact that somebody could stand up on stage for 30 minutes, 40 minutes and like captivate, do an hour and a half special on Netflix of like stories and opinions and themselves, like personality. It's kind of crazy. I was thinking about that a lot this weekend because headliner does like 45 minutes and I was freaking out about my 5 and I was just like, I can't, it's so much pressure. And then the fact that you have to do it again, like I was like, oh, you're going to do the second show? And I was like, honestly, I need to ease into this. And like, it was so much for me. Like, I was like, I can't, thank you. Like, I want it's good for me right now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, and that come down can, especially when you haven't done it in a long time. I remember, I feel like the last set I did at Battle Mountain wasn't that great, but like the set I had done prior to that was like such a good feeling, and I just felt like coming down from that is just like, oh, it's done. That felt really good, but it's done.
And it's all about the way you feel after when you have accomplished a joke, you've accomplished putting a series of thoughts together and conveying in a way that people understand, and you have all these people just being like validating you.
Yeah. Which I have a very complicated like relationship with validation because I'm just such a natural, like my brain is so contrarian that when I'm up there and people are laughing, I'm like, yes, this feels great. And then when somebody tells me I had a good set after, I kind of want to hit them. Is that like that can't be healthy, but I'm like, just leave me alone. Like the thing is done. I don't want to, let's not, I'm happy to analyze it and figure out what I could do better. But like, I don't want just like, I don't do well with praise after the fact. It's like, yes, I want you to laugh at this joke. And then I kind of want you to forget it ever happened.
I can like feel that, and I have moods where I'm feeling like I just want to go up there and then disappear. But then Andrew, there are other days where that makes me feel like hot freaking shit, man. Like, and then I'm feeling a little celebrity. Like I see people kind of go out of the way to try to be like, oh, you did a great job. And sometimes it doesn't feel as authentic as other times. But when it is just like pure strangers, that's such a cool feeling. Like,
yeah, it's more fun when it's strangers than like your friends, for sure, because like your friends are just being nice. Like you can never really trust your friend when they said you had a good set, but
you don't get a lot from their compliments.
Yeah, but when it's like somebody you don't fucking know, that's you feel like you really did the work.
But I also feel like I walk on my stage each time with my own feeling of how it went. So if I thought it went well, and then somebody's like, I'm like, thank you for agreeing with me. But it feels different. I'm like, you might not have caught what I didn't do well, but I just didn't do well.
Right. It's like I know, and I'll get caught up by like one or two words that I should have said differently,
right.
every freaking time.
And that's what I guess is like, I want everybody who ever like likes my shit or like compliments me to like just fucking like mean it. And if that happens, that's super dope. Just anybody who's giving fake compliments out there, just stop doing fake.
You don't have to say anything. Ignore
Yeah.
me, that's fine. The other thing, and this is such a, I wish my brain didn't work like this, but like if I get if I go up there and I'm doing a couple new things, a couple old things, and then somebody comes up and compliments the thing that I know already works, I'm like, yeah, I know that's great. Fucking leave me alone. I don't need that. This is the thing I'm excited. The new thing's the thing I'm excited about.
All of the like fresh little hits of the comedy drug is when they validate a new joke.
Yeah.
You know, because once you've got enough people have been like, okay, this is funny, you know, it's funny, you keep doing it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like when you make a new one that comes into the fold, like boy, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, and like you know, it takes a long time for me to polish a joke to where it needs to be. It just takes me, you know, by the time it's where it needs to be, all of my comic friends are sick of hearing that joke.
And that's why it takes going to mics like several times a week to actually like have jokes to move through, to be creating and performing, and to keeping that muscle sharp. And that's what I've been reflecting on a lot recently, is like when I think about my prime in comedy, like I had this point before the pandemic, maybe like the summer before the pandemic, where I felt just really good. I felt like I was doing really well, and I was proud of what I was putting out. I was proud of like how often I was coming up with new stuff, and I wasn't doing anything crazy, but it felt big to me, and I was so jazzed. And then I started doing the like editing all our online videos, and I fell in love with that too. And it took me off the stage, and it's, you know, I feel like I'm getting back into that thrill of just like stage performing and deciding if I want to accept all of the stressors that come along with it. Because honestly, Andrew, I was like adrenaline rush, but I was also super freaking stressed. So I'm like, oh, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, anything you do, there's always anything artistic, but anything in life, really, you know, anything you dedicate time to, there's cost benefit, and you have to figure out, you know, whether the reward is worth the work or the stress or whatever the downside of what you're doing is. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, because it can help you focus and figure out exactly what is worth your time to you.
And that's why I guess it's hard to make the decision, because it feels like such an elective hobby. You know, it's a hobby, and I have so many other things that I'm working towards in my life that don't feel as elective. Like I'm like, no, I have to improve my, you know, wage. I have to like find better jobs, and I have to like be having investments, buying a house, like whatever that looks like, maintaining my body, like I'm going on hikes and doing yoga or whatever. I don't know. And sometimes it's hard. Yeah, I don't know. I give so much energy to things I do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and for me, you know, getting into a good relationship helped, because I had to ask myself that question: if this is gonna, you know, take time away from, you know, spending time with my wife, and I really have to take it seriously. If this is important enough to do, you know, as often as you have to do it to be good at it, which for me is most nights, you know,
and that is the question, is how often you have to do it to be good at it, because there's no point in doing it if you're going to just be mediocre, if you're going to feel bummed about your set each time, and because if you put it down, it's harder to pick it back up. Oh, it is.
Well, and I don't think there's anything wrong with doing something because it makes you feel good and it's an enjoyable hobby. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, and you and your significant other get to do it together, you know, but Brittany has no desire to do stand up, and she has justifiably
Yeah.
no desire to come out to open mics with me all the fucking time, because only crazy people do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really had to I had to say, okay, I'm gonna approach this more like a job now, because if I'm gonna have to make sacrifices for it, then it better be fucking worth it.
And approaching it like a job to you meant doing it often?
Doing it often, doing it with more focus than I had before, setting goals, doing the album, whether I
Yeah.
was really, I, you know, I've probably talked about this with you before, but I did the album and I recognized that I'm not the best comedian in the world. I'm not even the best comedian in our scene. I'm not the best there. I said it on the album. There were better comics on that show that, you know, that don't have albums, but I wanted to make something. I wanted, you know,
No,
to
I see that
have
hustle in you, Andrew.
a product, because this is a job. You know,
It's
it doesn't make,
interesting that that mentality helps you work harder, when to
Mhm,
me that is something that would very much push me away, is to be like, this is a job, and
mhm,
because of the laser focus I already have to give to my
mhm,
job kind of shit. So I have been trying to find the space to relax, you know, like create, like put some like direction to create, and that's what you know, going to several mics a week does for me.
mhm,
But still being enough where it's like, if it's not feeling right, you know, focus on what is, and then
mhm.
get back to that.
Yeah, well, because you took a little break. I mean,
Mhm.
pandemic, and I think you were starting to come back right before everything shut down. But you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, because if
Yeah,
you know,
it's hard finding your artistic like voice, and what you're trying to
Mhm,
do, and to find the space to explore that. And I don't know, that's what time off eh, for me really did. And I'm still like, don't know. I take it one day at a time, you know. We keep
yeah,
waking up like, I want to do comedy. I want to, or I had a funny thought. Like, let me
mhm,
write that down. Okay, let me say that on stage, like, kind of thing. But
yeah,
I don't always need the hit. Like, I can go long
right,
without it.
right. I think, and I think what it boiled down to for me was I needed to do it. Like,
Hmm.
and if I needed to do it, it then I have a responsibility to make it worthwhile. Uh,
Yeah. And when you
but
say you needed to do it, you're saying it's like it just became that piece of you where you're like, if I don't do comedy, I will like hate myself. So I'm doing fucking comedy.
maybe not even hate myself. It's just
Hmm.
like I'll have a thought that I feel I need to express in a way that really only works on stage. And if I can't express that thought and find out if it connects with people, it'll bother me.
Yeah.
It'll needle my brain. It's like I need to share this with people, and just sharing that thought with a coworker or a friend just doesn't
Yeah.
nail it in the right way. Which is probably just like a guard for my need for validation or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's probably as simple as that. But
I think about that often, though, is why I so enjoy people telling me I'm funny,
right.
or pretty, or like smart, or like I love a good compliment. And it's
Mhm.
like comedy is this weird thing that puts you at a space to receive compliments from all these people. Normally, you don't like, hey, boss, like, you know, tell me I'm really good right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I and I think it comes down to what I value in myself. Because like if I do a good job at work and my boss tells me good job, that's great. But like I don't get that same, my job has never been, whatever job I've had has never been as satisfying as stand up. So receiving that validation at work is nice, but honestly, I'm just happy I'm not in trouble. You know, like
Yeah.
if I'm at work and I'm not, getting yelled at, then I'm fine with whatever's going on. Whereas, which is like I don't know if that's immature or it's just the way my brain works.
I think we all feel validated in doing different things, because what I
Yeah.
was thinking is that I love succeeding at my job. I feel like I worked so hard for my job. So when there's little instances where it's like my team's happy, or we made revenue goals, or I overcame this like crisis kind of thing, I feel like yes, like I'm doing well for these people, working in management. I feel really good about that. And that's why for me, because I also recognize that I'm maybe not like the funniest person in the world, even like in my own house. Like I think Caesar is like hilarious. So
Yeah.
I get all these little humble reminders of just like humor. So that's why I start to feel like
You
my
guys
face.
approach comedy in very different ways,
Yes.
like
Yeah, he's
there's
always looking for
yeah.
like that sassy mark. His gears are always going, where sometimes I'm just like, oh, I just wanted to see if you wanted tomato paste. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
he's
can
a
turn
really
it off a
jokester.
little easier than he can, which
Yeah, it's a little bit more natural for me to turn it off, kind
yeah,
of thing.
which
Yeah.
which is in itself a blessing, because doing the work all the time is exhausting.
Oh my God. I remember when I first started stand up, like it was like so exciting and so just like everything. And then
Yeah.
my friends were so annoyed with me because that was my mentality. Like everywhere I was going, I was looking for like the joke, or like, oh, what if this happened, or like that. And they were like, dude, we're just on a vacation. I need you to calm down. Like, kind of
No,
stuff.
I have to make this a riff. We have to riff. If we're not riffing, we're not having fun.
Yes. And they were like, nobody's trying to riff with you, Alyssa. We're trying to go on a hike. Did you see that beautiful bird that just flew by? And I'm like,
It's like,
gosh,
yeah, the bird's called a tit, like titties.
yeah, right. And I definitely feel more myself with a balance, because I'm not always thinking about those things. Sometimes I'm just like, be like, this blanket is soft, and
Yeah.
that's that.
Yeah. So, well, which is, when I'm doing writing, I'm not generally writing funny things. It's like a completely different thing for me. And I think there's value to having different aspects to your personality. You don't have to be on all the time.
Yes.
It uh I love going to open mics and hanging out, and everybody's, locked in and making jokes, and we're making fun of each other and making, and just laughing about random things. But then I like coming home and sleeping and,
Yes.
talking to my wife about, this boring TV show we're watching, and
And
not
that's what I've
having,
been learning a lot this year, is making time for those things. And as
Mhm.
I've made time for those things, I've grown to enjoy those things. And it's hard for me to put it down, to be like, oh, do I want to be writing jokes right now or doing yoga? And then answering that question honestly, because they're two very different energy level things.
Mhm.
So we'll see. I like I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna go to the mic tomorrow, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it feels like a lot for me to even commit to it right now, to be like, yes, I'm gonna go to the mic, because I want to be able to like do my day. And if I feel like going to mic, go to mic. If I feel like chilling, then I feel like chilling,
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I'm going back to work tomorrow, so
Oh, for
I may
sure.
not. I may be there till too late. We'll see. But like, now Barquet's back, so
Yes, I'm definitely going to Barquet. I have made that commitment just because I love Barquet, and
yeah.
I do think going to a place makes me feel comfortable. Like Charlotte's my girl,
Mhm.
so my little support system. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
dealing with my
I
girls is easier, which is why I love freaking Clam Corp, and like having like that female squad support. It's, I
mhm.
don't know, pretty cool. Allows me
Yeah.
to
I
feel more
mean,
comfortable creating.
so let's talk about Clam Corp a little bit for the listeners that don't know. Alyssa is the founder of a
Co-founder.
kind of female comedy YouTube collective. that's making videos and parodies and stuff. You check them out on YouTube. It's great.
We do all kind of goofy shits, and I'm just realizing lately, like, I don't know, I have a parody-oriented brain. Like, when I hear a song, I just want to imagine it slightly differently. And we've kind of made a practice of trying to figure that out. We don't, we have minimal resources. We got like a camera stand from Amazon, but we pay like $60 a year for some film editing software. But it's fun shit. Like, and I think we've made some pretty unique things that, like, if they could only go viral, we would be taking over the internet.
Well,
now we got like 6 videos out, and I have 1 more that I'm working on, and then I have 2 more parodies written, but I've been struggling because our voices suck, so people don't want to hear us sing, but so we have to either get somebody to sing for us, or I recently met this dude who's like does like voice manipulation, and he's like he has like audio equipment, and he can help us sound like butterflies as opposed to caterpillars.
Well, like there's like a sticky charm to the fact that you guys are not the best singers in the world. Like there are some rough pieces to what you guys have put out. Like I'm not going to pretend there aren't, but like if you could lock into what's working best about not being the best singers in those videos, I think you got something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we have a lot of other things in line, and I think Mel and I have a lot of creativity, and we learn with every video. So, and then like there's some people who would be like, well, don't put out this shit if it's just practice. But for me, I feel like eventually, like, people, it'll be like, if we become something, like, it'll be cool to see our journey and to see us like improve over video and laugh at where we were making freaking Pumpkin Spice Girls or Ballroom Blitz kind of shit, getting shout outs from Sweet. Like, that was cool. That was so cool.
Yeah, well, and like the editing and everything in that one was so much better than Pumpkin Spice Girls. Like, you guys are already improving a lot. I think there's a lot of room for growth, which is exciting because everything you do is a little bit better. Sometimes getting better at something is almost more satisfying than being good at something.
Yes, honestly, like, I am really enjoying the journey. Like, I laugh, like I was teasing at the beginning that my employees make fun of me, and they totally do. But it's like, I am so proud of it still, even though it's like goofy as shit, because gosh, it's all me and the Mel, and like from stem to stern, and it's a beautiful beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's fun to make things like that. and it's, when you get really good at something, or you get competent at something, sometimes you like nail it and sometimes you don't, but it's always competent. When you're getting better at something, everything you do is better than the last thing you did, and that's very satisfying.
And it's with visual media or whatever, it's nice to have those concrete milestones and those moments captured. You can watch Pumpkin Spice Girls, then Ballroom Blitz, and then see, even going to Puppy Poisoner, like Pursuit of the Puppy Poisoner, we had physical comedy. We were like wrestling each other, like figuring out, and it was literally me laying on the ground with a camera while Mel like rolled me over, kind of shit, and then like splicing things together. And I was just so proud of us to be able to figure that out. I was like, I felt like Will Ferrell and freaking
John C. Reilly.
Freaking Step Brothers.
Yeah. No, Puppy Poisoner was fun. And I like I've made a couple sketches as well, and I like that we both tend to have the same problem, which is that everything is too long.
Yes.
Like
you can't help
every comic who starts making sketches everything is too long. We all have the same problem because like, and
It's because when you're filming, there's so much good stuff, and it does
yeah,
take to want to narrow it down, or you get the idea of this whole story you want to tell, and then you could shorten it up, but
mhm.
in your mind it's this whole
Like, yeah, but I
story.
did
So
this cool thing and I want to show that too.
yeah.
Yeah, I did that when I hadn't done any shows. I did that video with Caesar about coming back to stand up. And that is 6 minutes long and it should probably be 3, but it
I feel you. And that's why we've been experimenting with short videos, but that is also something we saw. We've done a couple of these little shorts reviewing beers.
mm-hmm.
We had originally done it for this tap traders or I forget the name, whatever. They're a freaking podcast up in Denver,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a little Instagram. They post pictures of people reviewing beer, and we submitted a video, and then they put us up, and I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
The rotating tap. That's what they're called. The rotating
Yeah,
tap.
that's really cool.
And it was had to be under 3 minutes, so we had this time frame, and I was really proud of the little stories we told within that short period of time. So
yeah,
that's Corp shorts coming your way.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I'd like to get better at. And again, I've talked a lot on the podcast in the past couple months about this new job is so draining and it's taking up so much of my time. A lot of stuff has had to go on the back burner, but for when I started comedy, I wanted to collaborate all the time. I wanted to work with funny people. I wanted to make things with other people. I liked being a part of the community, but one, I wasn't very funny yet, and two, I don't think there was enough discipline in our scene to really accomplish a lot. And I took a few years and really focused on what I could do myself. And I think moving forward after we get out of this quarantine, I'd like to start collaborating again and, make more stuff with more people. And I think,
I really thrive in a team environment.
Yeah.
And it's always been a huge part of my personality
Mhm.
to seek others and to I love connecting with people, and I'm somebody who gets super jazzed about having friends. So it's doing this with Mal and Tracy and all that. It's it's exciting. It's fucking exciting to be able to share that with friends and be getting closer and doing that with people. I want to learning Mal's creative style and watching her grow and develop has been really cool.
Mhm.
I think Mal's got a lot of talent, and even watching her at 3 East this weekend, how that's kind of come together, and
Yeah.
it's good shit.
Yeah. It's what really sucks for me right now is I have to work every Saturday. And I every Friday and every Saturday, and every Saturday I'm working till 8. And so I've for a couple years now put off at some point I have to put in the work to get accepted at clubs and actually start working in a professional comedy environment if I want to keep doing this. And
what have you been doing in that pursuit? What is the next goal for you?
I think just hanging out, and right now with my job right now, that's not really an option. But it's something I should have been doing all along that for whatever reason, I just didn't have the mental space for. I could have gotten in at Looney's a lot better than I did. I just didn't hang out. Do
you beat yourself up about that, or do you feel like you're pretty well on a new path? So
I don't beat myself up because I knew that I was doing things to further to make myself better. I don't want to say further my career because that sounds so gross.
You
But
know,
like, I was
reference to comedy, huh?
right. I was doing things to get better. In different avenues, you know, by making, you know, doing the Comedy Below show and making that as good as I possibly could. And it was really good by the time COVID fucking ruined it, you know. It was, and I honestly think the best, I mean, you could argue Oscar Blues had a larger audience, but I think my show was better. um I think I had the best comedian produced show in town. And you know, I don't really care if anybody agrees with me or not. I'm very proud of that show.
Yeah,
But
and that's the way it's supposed to feel. So it's like,
right.
good.
And you know, so I was doing that. I was becoming a better writer. I was focusing on you know, putting out an album myself and focusing on making things that didn't require other people to say yes to me. But at some point, you have to.
People have to say yes to you.
People have to say yes to you if you want to ever make money. And I was getting to the point where I needed to make that jump, and then COVID happened. But yeah, I whether I go with, you know, because unfortunately it's a choice. I either have to get in at Looney's or I have to get in at 3E's. You can't do both, which kind of sucks.
I don't think it's like that. People keep saying that.
Well,
but you know, I just like, there's a lot of people who are already doing it. And it's, especially for people who haven't, there are certain comedians that I could certainly see that ruffling feathers in a big way because of their level of indenturedness at Looney's, like how much they've done at Looney's,
right.
How many opportunities Eric has given them. But there are so many comics where it's like, by our own, like, we didn't ask or he didn't offer, like, we didn't, you know, haven't, I thought so.
Right.
I love Looney's, like, a lot.
Yeah.
Looney's inspires me and it gives me big thrills, and I definitely, like, want to improve myself and be welcome to perform there. But 3E's is, they got a different energy and they got a good heart. And I felt that this weekend. And I definitely think it just needs a little bit of time for everybody to get comfortable, and they have things that they're working out and like learning as a club. But like, I don't know, I felt comfortable there, and that was cool too. Like,
no, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to have to choose, and if I have to choose, I'll figure that out. It will really boil down to who's going to give me an opportunity. And I don't think you're going to get banned from performing at Looney's because you did a guest at 3E's. I mean,
also, it's so weird that you're like, it's like, I feel like it's just not as heavy as people think.
I don't know.
I can see that you have this opinion, but
yeah, well, so like Wade works at Looney's, right? And we talked about this earlier today when I was recording with him. And you know, I think Eric is at the moment pretty hardline about, hey, if you're working at 3E's, you can't. I don't. He's not gonna. As far as I know, you're still gonna be able to like do the open mic and stuff. But I don't.
A comic just did that this week, like actively.
Yeah.
Like
right.
They were featuring at Looney's one week, or they're featuring at 3E's one week, and then they were just on Habitual Offenders on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, Habitual Offenders is a comic produced show, though, so I think that's a little different. I mean, we'll see. I'm certainly not going to speak for Eric or for what's the guy's name who
They're both Erics.
they're both. That's right. They're both Erics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak for
Yeah,
either.
I guess I'm just here to say I like I don't know, I'm trying to put good energy out there about like having both places be like a welcoming and cool place, because I feel comfortable at both places and I enjoy that energy, and I have a lot of respect for Looney's, and I'm growing to learn more about 3E's and have respect for them as well.
Yeah.
And it feels cool and it feels nice, and like the comedy is about the energy and it's about the other comics. And like when I was at the open mic last week at 3E's, like, I don't know, there was like 30 comics there, and there was like a banter and that energy that you look for, and you know, the the drinks were named after comedians and stuff. Like, gosh, I don't know. I love people and chatting, and I felt that energy.
Yeah,
So
it was fun just hanging out at Battle Mountain, at the open mic there.
yeah,
And of course I had to turn it into work because I'm a monster. But
yeah.
I
See
also
that
didn't have an
hustle?
episode. That's why I did 3 today. I don't want to run out of material again.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, whatever happens with I I personally think it's great that we have another club in town, and I think that competition will require both clubs to get as good as they can possibly be and get more, exciting headliners and stuff like that. Um, and I'm just excited there are more places to perform. Hopefully
yeah.
after, obviously after things calm down. I was so excited about what was happening in our scene before COVID. I think we were finally, becoming.
We had a mic every day of the week.
We had a
Sometimes
mic
there
every
was
day of the week.
two.
We
And
had
there was enough people who stepped up and were producing shows. Like
Mhm.
you were doing shit, Mel was doing shit, Caesar and I were hosting that mic. Caesar was
Yeah.
hosting shows, having the roast battles at
Mhm.
freaking Gold Camp. Those were fun times.
Yeah.
Um, and now I think we
Yeah.
have to just get back to that. And I do feel like there's a lot of people who have used the pause for creative time. And I think
Mhm.
we're gonna have an explosion on the other side of this. It's just
I hope so. And we've everybody's kind of talked about this offline about how, there are some people who aren't going to come back, and that's probably okay. And then there are some people who are really, they use this time to realign, to write, or just to get their head straight, and they'll come back better than ever. And that's exciting. I think it'll
and
take some
it's
it's going to take some time to for me at least to, beat up, clean up the cobwebs, to because I am not the strongest natural performer. It's going to take me time to get those reps in and get back to where I was. But I think
yeah.
the writing's always going to be there for me, so that's good.
That's what I felt like last week was the first week I felt like a normal comedy schedule. Like I
Mhm.
did comedy 3 times in 5 days, and it got a little bit more comfortable each
Mhm.
time, but still very like, tough.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I like I'm feeling like I'm gonna go out tomorrow and ride that energy and just keep going because I have thoughts and I've been doing a lot of like revamping of old jokes because
Mhm.
I did a lot of my writing when I was like single, getting started in this, and I was a little bit more raunchy than like I feel like being now. Like
Mhm.
just certainly still an edge to my like the way I view the world and shit. And that's gonna come out, but it doesn't always have to be so sensual.
Right.
So I'm working on
Yeah.
exploring that because I definitely don't feel as much like that person anymore.
Yeah.
And that's takes time to work those out.
Yeah,
Work that opinion out.
it's interesting because, like, I never considered myself a dirty comic, really. Um, but then when I recorded my album, I would say 40% of the jokes on the album are dick jokes, which isn't really anything I had thought about. But I'm curious to see where I go moving forward. The stuff I'm excited about writing now is, I think, good, but maybe a little more challenging, and kind of hard to gauge because the lowest common denominator always works best at an open mic. It's
Yeah.
what you're asking of the crowd there is it's hard to get a good read on a smart joke at.
And what truly, in my opinion, separates like good comics from like great comics
Mhm.
is that ability to make it feel in the room and like
Yeah.
adapt and adjust. And that is one thing that I recognize I need to work on so much. Even in this weekend, I forget her name. I'm so bad, but the woman who was featuring,
Mhm.
she adapted so well,
Yeah.
and I was impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's something that, like, I feel like when I'm on, I can do, and when I'm not, I'm a fucking babe in the woods. And it's like, I
And
know
it's like,
this
how do
is
you
gonna go
capture that
badly,
feeling?
but this is the way we're doing it tonight. And then there are just times when I'm locked in and I'm like, I can lead you on this journey, whatever kind of audience you are. And you know, one day, you know, the goal is to be able to do that every time, or 90% of the time. You know, I think
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, you're gonna bomb sometimes. I've
And
never.
it's a lot of pressure to promise somebody your wit and like I promise you that I will be witty and charming and win over your audience and we will all be laughing in a communal like
Right.
humor.
Man,
Yeah, it's
people have been calling the house all day, and it's just right in the middle of the
you need to sell
podcast every
insurance. I'm trying to make sense of this light over here.
time.
This
um,
is so much better than it had been earlier in the show. I'm like, people probably watching, like, oh, she just figured out a good angle to.
what are the things you would like to work on moving forward as we're finally getting back into a space where we can do stand up again?
I really, honestly, it sounds so goofy, but I really want to be better at impressions. I have so
Yeah.
many jokes that come back to like goofy little voices, and that's the shit that makes me giggle the most. And I think if I can get a little bit better at that, those jokes will sell well. It's just like a fun thing I'm excited about. Definitely finishing all of the videos we've had already, because we have this super dope video. It's like filmed in like Tracy's hot tub like during the summer, and we were never able to get the audio for it, so finishing that and putting it together. And then in general, trying to keep that itchy part of my brain that comedy comes from like active,
Mhm.
and like trying to get back to that, because there are certain like things I could be doing mentally to like focus myself back, and I'm hoping to find a way of doing that doesn't make me uncomfortable, where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm forcing myself to do this.
Well, you had, let's say, a bad experience on social media or early on,
Yes.
and but like, do you think that I can only speak for myself, but that's kind of the only way I've had in the past, year as we've been dealing with all this COVID shit of keeping sharp is just fucking social media jokes, and it's not my strongest suit. But is that something you're thinking of doing more of, or are you just like, man, fuck that?
Honestly, it is crazy. And I don't know what my relationship with social media would be like if that whole thing had never happened. But it was certainly, I feel like I was prone to not enjoy a social media setting, because I am such a social person who thrives off of seeing all those little cues in people, and like and knowing people on that energy. It doesn't translate. It's hard for me to translate it online. So it is something that's really hard for me. I know that there's a lot of like reasons I should be better at it, but that's one of the reasons why Mel and I make a good partnership, because she is like a lot more prone to do those type of things,
Mhm.
and I'll just like help get the content, edit the video, get it out to her for doing that. Because it's also, to me, because I see Caesar is really big on social media and he enjoys it, he loves it, like just putting out these little jokes that he thinks about. But for me, it's like pressure every time, and because I know what it feels like to have like something taken, it's like it feels like such a risk. Like I'm putting this out there and hoping that nobody's gonna interpret it in a way that hurts me. So I'm like, why not just not do it? But I also don't feel the urge to put it out there, so I don't feel like I'm depriving myself.
Right. Well, if it's not something you enjoy, then don't do it. And you definitely, like, that was a whole bad scene. All that shit that went down. It's unnecessary drama.
I feel like I matured on the other side of that in a way that was
Yeah.
kind of just meaningful for my personality, because I was reckless, and I certainly take some like responsibility for like the content I was writing and like where my headspace was and all of that. I've learned so much even throughout this like last year about just, I don't know, because I love the feeling of showing somebody respect who deserves it, you know, and just like making sure that people feel like welcome and heard and appreciated in this like crazy world, and like having that compassion. Like my heart has definitely grown a lot. And I'm less angry. I was really hurt when I was like starting comedy, and that's another thing that's kind of challenges me now, is like I'm not writing from a like angry, hurt place, because I'm pretty happy and I have a beautiful life that I love, and figuring out where comedy comes
that makes it
from.
more challenging to write?
I think a lot of comedy comes from like self-deprecation and things. So like for me, I have to really go outside of myself, because nobody wants to hear how a joke about how happy, I don't know, I'm maybe they do, and I have to work on that voice. Yeah.
Ron Punches is very good at it, you know.
Yes. It's also something that I don't always find funny. Like, I don't know, just like chilling and relaxing, eating hot meals with my lover. Like,
but like I almost like acknowledging that is almost funny in and of itself, is because hey, there's nothing interesting going on. You know, could in itself be an interesting angle to take, because that's not common.
yeah. For me, I guess what I want to be praised on as comedy is more so now is my like goofiness and like spontaneity, kind of like those more absurd thoughts. And I've been having fun. Like, I just worked a freaking foghorn leghorn impression into one of my jokes, and I was like on 10, Andrew. I was like, I need to practice this, I need to get better, and I need to do foghorn leghorn. Like, that's where I'm leaning towards more recently.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so bad at voices, and I'm so self-conscious about it, because like it's a good tool to have. I've done voices on stage. I just like don't think I'm good at it, and I wish I was. But that's awesome. I personally love Foghorn Leghorn. I think it's underrated cartoon. So
He's just a good old country chicken. Yeah.
Just a good old country chicken. Yeah. What's like the next? So there are these videos you want to edit. Are there any more sketches you've written or you're in the midst of writing?
Yes, I actually have two. We have two that are next on the docket that I'm super excited about, because I'm always writing shit. I also have this whole like lemonade situation, like lemon aid, like a lemon that's a helper. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
But I actually have several, and then I also have chimney she weeps. Okay, and it's this parody of This One's for the Girls.
Oh, okay.
This one's for the girls.
Yeah.
Whoever. And then it's about a bunch of female chimney sweeps.
Okay. That is
And
cool.
I'm so excited that I have a house with a chimney. So I figured like I to get us up on the roof, and I want to film this on top of the roof. But again, we're having trouble getting somebody to sing it, especially because this one's supposed to be more of like, you know, it's a sentimental song.
Right.
Like, and it's hard to do that in a parody sense.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, but if you guys can lock into the right kind of bad, it might work. That's
because
like
eventually I will just record the audio myself. Like I want this art to exist so bad. Like I will freaking figure it out. But I'm trying to explore options. And right now I do think that like voice editing thing is going to be the move.
When are you guys moving out?
Soon, Andrew. Actually, what are you doing next Saturday?
Working. I work till 8 on Saturday. Sorry.
You're like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
We close on the 17th, and then we're moving the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So this will be our first move where we have like multiple days to do it, and I have it like mapped out pretty well. I think it's gonna be good. Like on Friday, I'm just getting my girls, like Mel and Charlotte are coming, and we're just gonna move the little stuff kind of things. And then like hang out in the house, I'm with the cats over that night, eat pizza.
get drunk.
Get drunk a little bit, but not too drunk because we're gonna have to
Right.
move early the next morning. Because
Right.
on Saturday we'll rent the truck and room and move.
Get all the giant stuff out of there. Yeah, we're really hoping to get out of here this summer.
Yeah.
It's and it's one of those things where we might be able to get it approved now because of my VA situation. It's just we
Yeah.
want to make sure with my new job and how volatile sales can be, that we're ready and we have enough banked that we're not gonna get
But
our
is your goal to not move out of there until you can buy a house?
yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason we moved in here in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just there's some work we got to do ourselves that we'll see.
I definitely recognize, like, for us, like, Caesar and I are taking some chances because,
Yeah.
like, we kind of like just have enough to make it all work.
Right.
But we are also very comfortable and creative people as far as like we can learn how to fix a thing. We can live without a certain thing for a minute to make it work because like to us this is like our future, and the sooner we
Yeah.
can get in on it and like start accruing like interest on an item, the more worth it this is going to be for us. So
Right.
I'm really excited, and I recognize the gamble that we're taking, but I feel good about it, and I think we're doing a lot of things right to make this successful for us.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. I know, Charlotte's working on it too. There's
Dude, news alert for Charlotte. Charlotte found a house a block away from our house. So
oh,
now
that's awesome. That's amazing.
it's because so we had already found a house in the same neighborhood as Mel. So we're like 2 blocks away from Mel. And then Charlotte essentially is buying the house in the one in between, and she closed on the 26th. So
that's amazing.
in a 3-block radius, we're gonna have like a homey like
Yeah.
circle, killing it.
That's
We're pretty
awesome.
jazzed about it, yeah.
You're gonna make that the coolest fucking neighborhood in the Springs.
I really feel like we are, just as far as like we get to do all of the good neighbor stuff like that you haven't got to enjoy since you were a kid. Like I want to like ride my bike to Charlotte's house and just like have a glass of tea and then like drive back, because we live so close, you could just like pop in and do like mundane things.
Yeah.
Actually,
that sounds terrifying to me. I'm such
Really?
oh yeah, no, it's just Brittany and I being such introverts. It's like somebody knocks at the door and we're like, God damn it, like peeking out the window. I think if we had our own place, we might be more open to like social gatherings and stuff. Like we liked having people over when we had our apartment. It was just such a small place. We didn't do it very often. It's just I really like having my own space where I can like chill out and nobody bothers me.
Yeah, I do too. I guess I'm just more
well, you're a much more social person than I am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking back to a memory of like when I was a kid and I had my first friend lived on my block, and she used to like come by and I'd be like sitting on the couch after work by like my back door, and she would just come to the back door and like knock, and I'd be like, oh yes, like now I'm gonna go like play or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was always exciting.
Yeah, that was always fun.
As an adult.
Yeah, as a kid, I enjoyed that a lot more than I do as an adult, but that's because like I get very set in like what my plan for the next hour is, and if anything ruins that, then I'm cranky.
Yeah.
I'm not as spontaneous as I used to be.
I guess for me also, I certainly have my moods where I'm not feeling social and like that I probably wouldn't welcome somebody just like coming over. But I'm very like I feel like good at voicing that. I'll be like, hey bro, come back later.
Well, let's see. What else did I want to touch on with you? We talked about like being more goofy in your stand up, and like I really feel that I I can get a little saccharine, a little maudlin in what I write about, but like if I can lock into something goofy, it always makes me really happy. What are some of the topics you're focusing on right now?
Um, so one of the things I was thinking about was we're talking a lot about how fetishes compare to board games. And
Okay.
then essentially, so I have these like little ditties about all these different like board games, and I try to like recreate the energy of that game like while I'm acting it out and like and I think that so much of comedy is like setting a premise and then displaying the absurdity of that premise kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
thing. And that's been kind of cool. I did a little bit about coping strategies, and I had some fun like acting out and like painting an absurd picture of like catching and eating bats for revenge because of
Okay.
sickness they've plagued our society with,
Yeah, your analogies in comedy are so fucking off the wall. It's like I enjoy them because I enjoy weirdness as like a feature period, but like
Yeah.
it's so disappointing to me when an audience doesn't get on board with the weirdness. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it's like, no, you guys are wrong. This is fucking hilarious. It's why I like
And it's
watching
also
George Bomb. Uh,
because sometimes when you watch something strange and maybe it's not all in that moment cooking with you, but you still might go home and talk about it. And it may
yeah,
hit you in a minute what's going on. Or I've even had people like ask me to fill in like the holes of certain things. And
right.
it's like, I guess they shouldn't have to ask me, but it is cool that they're curious enough to,
Right.
you
Well,
know.
and that's part of like honing a joke is like figuring out, okay, I went to this weird place and not everybody followed me there. So can I sprinkle some more breadcrumbs to get them there next time?
And that is also how I feel too. It's like some of these more absurdity based jokes, like take more practice because you have to be able to be like, okay, you went on that tangent too long. You got to pull it back, or like, you're not setting that tone well enough. Like,
Right.
what else could you do to emphasize that?
Yeah.
Um,
It definitely takes I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of open mics is you can fail. It's okay
yeah.
if you fail. Nobody's paying you to be there. It's you don't need to feel bad for bombing if it's a joke that's gonna work in a couple weeks, you know?
Yeah. Open mics are when you prove it to yourself, and then shows are where you like execute that confidence to like earn some fucking laughter.
Right, yeah. Well, and like there's just something to be said for shows are easier than open mics. They just are. Like
Yeah, people are more ready to laugh, and then as you get positive affirmation, it becomes easier to continue to do your jokes.
exactly. I mean, and that's why it you have to you have to it's hard, especially when you're starting to get shows, because people only see you at open mics. Open mics suck. It's hard to tell that, oh, this person actually is funny if they're bombing all the time. But watching fucking George Wagner in a good room is so glorious because when that you'll watch him bomb doing something weird at an open mic maybe more often than you watch him do well. But when you get him in front of a hot audience, he kills so goddamn hard.
And that's like George is a performer you get lost in. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to capture as much as I can do. And I'm still honing my craft, but like where people are getting lost in your tangents and going down these absurdities with you and just being like shocked, but seeing the connection and being excited and curious, like it's kind of cool. And that's where you get the drive to like keep doing it because even if people don't like totally get it, I always am so proud of myself for having like given it that all to like
Yeah.
sell that character, to do that like big performance of it.
Yeah.
Uh that's when I'm oddly the most proud.
Right. Well, it's that there there are jokes that I like doing that aren't the best jokes for the audience. sometimes. It's like I believe that you've heard me do it a few times, but the joke about my name where I'm talking about the apostles, how I'm
Yeah.
named after an apostle, that joke I really like, and I think it's an important thing for me to explore moving forward, but it's not the joke that gets the best response from the audience, and I have to it's not a good open mic joke. It is a good joke that explains something about me and the way my brain works, but I think I need to find the right audience for it.
And I think for that, there's people who already have an understanding of the Bible and like
Yeah.
how those characters played out, is like they have this backstory that adds weight to your humor, because I'm sure it's like understanding the characters of Andrew and the different disciples, like
Right,
adds weight to it. Yeah.
or just like not even, because like there's not much more there other than like what's on the surface. The Bible
Yeah.
doesn't get into the character of each apostle. Like it's just not what the Bible is for.
Yeah.
And talking about the Bible, period, is kind of a risk, right? Like
Yeah.
it can make people uncomfortable, especially talking about the Bible, and swearing a bunch in a joke might not be, the easiest thing to do. But I do think the joke is solid and I think it's valuable. So finding the right audience for it would be really exciting. And I haven't had the opportunity to really do it on bigger shows. So all I really have is the open mic feedback for it, which is a little frustrating. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like figuring out how to make a challenging topic work, and I think I think a joke like that would be a good like entry point into talking more about like my life, like my childhood and where I come from as a person, because I think that's where my comedy's headed. It's just finding an entry point into that's pretty challenging because I had such a weird upbringing that
But it's like your story is what you have to capture, and
yeah.
that's what I feel like the getting the full cathartic effect from comedy involves figuring out how to communicate all of your different selves.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a journey. Yeah, it's definitely. I saw a picture of myself. I was like 4 years old as a ballerina, where I was like moving stuff, and it was like in boxes, and I was like turning around and making a face and like doing whatever. And I was kind of like, I miss that. I see that person so rarely now, or like I see that person on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and it validates something for me to be like, oh, you've always been this person.
Right.
Like,
You've always
honor them.
been
How do you honor that person?
you've always been the performer at heart. It's always been a part of your personality. It's just
Yeah, because that is what helps me make time for it. That is truly like wrapping my head around being like, no, this is part of who you are, and you're always happier when you're doing this. So like keep making time to do this, because it is inherent to your nature.
yeah.
Kind of.
How did you find stand up initially? Because I don't know if we've talked about this or I just can't remember. Because I remember you actually started coming out and stuck around, which was rare at that time for people who would come out to like 5 shows and you'd never see them again. And you hit it pretty hard right from the get-go.
Yeah, it's interesting that you recognize that, Andrew, because I didn't know how people like know my comedy journey, but I had done plays and wrote stupid shit growing up, and I was honestly going through some like shit personally, where my life was just kind of like rough, and I lived by myself, so I had a lot of free time to just like think about shit. And then I started running through this comedy bit about like my dog and some things that happened at work, and I had some downtime and I was talking about it, and Chris Wellman, I think it's so cool that you
Oh,
just did a show.
that's right.
Like,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he worked at the spa that I worked the front desk at, and he was like a locker room attendant. And I was like, oh, I have some. He's like, oh, you should try comedy, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote down on a little piece of scratch paper, like the different mics in town. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like trying to plan ahead, and I would like I remember calling the gallery below and like not getting anybody and being super nervous to come in because I'm like, is this even really a thing? And then for me, as soon as I started, I got so much attention, like as far as just like people were curious about me. And I love that. I really love that energy. So I kept going out and I kept getting better, and people booking me on shows. And I was doing really like, I was very active for a little while, and it's interesting.
Well, I feel like that when you started, it was just exciting because there were 2 female comics in town, and now there are more, which is good, because
oh yeah, females are fucking hilarious, and like it makes sense that this is like, but it was just about people making time in their life and like feeling supported. And I feel like there's been a lot of things that happen to grow support for the scene. But I'll tell you, Andrew, like the show this weekend, I was getting chills because it was like it was a show, I guess, about it not, it was 4 females. And it wasn't like a thing. It wasn't like, oh, stick for the female. It just happened that way. Yeah. And I was like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. And it made me look at some of the stuff we've done differently, because we've always been just like girl power in your face.
Right.
And I feel like there's a place for that. And I feel like we did a lot of good with what we were doing. But it doesn't always have to be this like female in your face. Check out this titty. Like
I feel like there's a marketing reason for that, which kind of like, because were you on the all-female show Ryan and I did?
Oh, were you guys dressed up as ladies?
Yeah, you did.
I had Ryan on a show where he dressed up as a lady.
But
I don't
yeah, but like that show, we Comedy Ray Gun, was kind of up and down. We'd have a great show, then we'd have a shitty show, then we'd have a great show. And that was the best show we ever put on. And part of the reason so many people showed up was because it was billed as an all-female show, which was kind of like, it's a shitty reason for people to show up, but it's also effective. And the fact that there can be an all-female lineup and it's not billed as that, it's just a show with an all-female lineup, is exciting. That's good. Moving past that is good. But I'll whore myself out for a theme show. I don't care.
No, and there's fun to be had in theme shows. That's why it's like, it is sometimes nice to show the spotlight. And that's what we always like advertise ourselves as, be like, we're not like hating on men. We're just like highlighting women. Like, and it certainly grew from that, where we always had like all token male. And so how Andrew or Ryan ended up in a dress. And that was fun. I even had Caesar on the show, which is really fun to have my boyfriend on the show in a dress. Just like killing it. He did a really good job, and his arms looked great.
I will say dresses are very comfortable.
Oh yeah.
They're way more comfortable than I ever assumed until we'd done that show.
My favorite look is a summer sundress, man, with the weather that suits it. Oh,
yeah. We're all just going to be, I'm fully prepared for the future where we're all just wearing space robes all the time. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you, Alyssa. I have been doing this for 7 hours now, and I'm about ready to be done recording podcasts today.
I freaking hear you. I'm about to make some vegan meatloaf, so.
Oh, yeah. That sounds not good, but you enjoy.
I think it will be. I'm a master chef, I promise.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I'll see you, Andrew. This was super fun. And,
tell the listeners, all 5 of them, where they can find you and what they should check out.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, ATown72, as where I'm going to be trying to focus my energy, because pictures help me communicate better. And Clam Corp on Facebook, man, is we have some new videos coming soon, and we'd appreciate a good follow.
Yeah, follow Clam Corp. They have stickers and they're great. Yeah.
So many stickers. Ask me about stickers. Just kidding.
Yeah. Run down the list of my shit because I have to. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Do it. Fucking do it. I don't know how to say it nicer. Just rate, review, and subscribe. Give us 5 stars, please. Say nice things about me to the internet so I can make money doing this. Listen to the album. This was a bad idea. Also rate that 5 stars. All that great stuff. I'm so sick of plugging stuff. And follow me on follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not that hard to find. Yeah. Thank you, Alyssa, for being here. And for all of you listeners, go make stuff.
Yay. Bye.
Yay.